decided to do art because I feel like art is a way of communication, whether by different shapes and different media. It could help a person communicate and tell other people about an issue that is important, or simply just talking about a person's emotions and struggles. Having the habit of watching comedy shows and joke-related mangas, I would also like to make my work towards this direction, which is trying to pass the fun to all my audience.
As an artist, I am particularly interested in each individual person's story, and so I've created several paintings that reflect the person's story and their value towards life. Because I'm kind of infatuated with the form and the colors of the food, I've created several pieces with the ideas of food. This one is called House of Wrapping Flavors Steampunk. And as you can see, I was trying to use the bun as the outer exterior of the architecture to create a feeling of space within space. And this one is the avocados in the House of Onigiri in the House of Waffle. Additionally, I believe that architecture should reflect a person's personality and their cherishments.
The reason why I'm interested in art is that I was not used to honestly express myself since I was a child. There was times when I hid my negative feelings so deeply. It was like a hand tightly squeezing my throat and I couldn't even speak. Oftentimes, I would hope for others to understand me. Yet, I was never comfortable to express myself straightforwardly. After I got attached to art, I became aware that art would be my way to speak without words. When I create, I can express whatever I want without hesitation. I was introduced to symbolism as an art movement during my art history class, and the word itself means the use of symbols to represent qualities and ideas. And as I learned more about symbolism, I began to see correlation in my own work. So that I discovered that flower language are amusing, yet not all of them indicate happily ever after. In this series, I link them with female subjects to represent their individual struggles through these unique stories of flowers.
I joined art track last March, which is pretty late. My interest of art was actually found before I came to Pacific American School. During my first 3 years of high school, I didn't touch any art-related subjects because I thought I liked computer science more. But then eventually, when I joined the art track last March, I think art really fits me, and I just thought everything I did, like computer science, like those kind of projects, are actually related to art. So this is as you can see, this is a Rubik's Cube. Not just a random Rubik's Cube, this is also an extension cord. So the mechanism behind this is when we play Rubik's Cube, you usually change the position of the cube. So by that time, I think maybe putting these ideas into extension cord can actually save out many spaces or those unused plugs. As you look closely, you can see this architectural project is made out of the 6 letters of my first name. This is the cell portrait I made. So this is the very first artwork I made when I joined the art track. Both portraits used acrylic and with color boxes on the right and using different layers on the left. I use After Effects to transform this into an interactive piece where by clicking or by selecting one of the boxes on the portrait, it can change colors, it can change shapes. It's a different way of doing artwork.
Originally, when I was still in the middle school, I was attracted by the juniors and seniors artwork. I love how they can display their own artworks and ideas because I believe that is a way for them to show their skills and to make people to think in their perspective. I started to take art classes in my freshman year, and I began to experiment with all different kinds of media such as graphites, charcoal, acrylic, oil paintings, collage, etc. I think that as an artist, visiting a museum is a necessary step to get inspiration, improve in myself, and also to appreciate others' works. The enlightenment of my interest in architecture is the time when I visited a Japan architect museum called Architecture Depot. And by looking at different designs, it is like going into different meaning world. And for the museum, I can imagine what it would look like if I place my design there. So that is also the time when I decided to start my architectural career. And one of my best work is called the Shifting Cube series. The concept of my Shifting Cube series is to design different transformation within a limited space. There are many transformations I utilize and install in my series, such as turning, sliding, pushing, and pulling. And my concept also challenges myself to think of how more different transformation can fit inside.
The reason I study fashion is that fashion is something that will never stop in this world, and I want to continue to create new fashion and deep into a definition of fashion. Most of my works are photography. For example, one of the series is called Growing Up. The first one is from talking about how I suffered during my childhood. The second one is called Medicine. It is talking about I have been through suffering and so I have to take medicine. And the third one is called Makeup, like how now I grow up and I have to use makeup to cover the truth of myself. This piece is called Uterus. So I built this uterus to represent my comfort zone and also represent how I realized that I have to step out my comfort zone and also build up a protection to protect myself.
I have been influenced by many animated films since I was a kid, but I found people might have this stereotype thinking that animated films are only for kids to watch. However, recently I have rewatched many Hayao Miyazaki's film and I get a totally different experience by watching that. In my opinion, I believe that animations or animated films are not only for children but for adolescents like me or other adults. So this piece is created from a story I got inspired and working on it when I was a sophomore through seniors. This story is inspired when I went to a market with my mom and seeing a bunch of fish stacked in a box. After going to Keelung with our school in an art trip, I see a lot of people fishing on the ocean while there's a lot of trash on the ocean. And I think of a story of this fisherman. Through this story, I want to send a message not only to protect the environment, but also to be kind to other people.
So I took interest in art initially because of aesthetic. Growing up, I've always liked to have things to look good and visually appealing to me. For instance, this can be in the form of how my clothes looked or how the colors of my bed sheets matched. But as I grew up, I realized there was much more to aesthetic, and that aesthetic could also have an extra element, which is storytelling and meaning. And when I discovered this, I realized how important art was, and I realized that this could actually be taken into a career where I am not only interested in, but also something that could be impactful. With photography, it is a bit different. I get inspired from observation, whereas from my perspective, I think many other mediums happen differently sometimes. For instance, as an example, a project I made, the whole idea about that project was from observing what was going on. I would go to a place or observe a phenomenon and tell a story or something out of that.
Actually, I just in touch with art less than 1 year because I spent time studying academic disciplines until I graduated from high school last year. But I felt like something was missing during that time. I realized how important was art to me. I chose graphic design because I like to play with the colors while drawing and designing. I felt like I can exercise my creativity to create my own stories and express myself to everyone. For me, art was not only a technique or just a subject. Art is the thing that I desire to do. I feel happy when I can turn back to this track.
I started art last summer. When people ask what my work is about or how I started art, I would say that my work is about designing or creating a visual content to communicate or to make the world a prettier place. Therefore, I do designs such as layout design, UI design, logo design, or poster design. For example, I create 3 types of donut packages. And I was inspired when I did my intern in the kindergarten. Sides of reds and yellows serve as a surprising welcoming when I first entered the room. So I thought I can put these feelings into my donut packages. I use different colors and different shapes to create the packages.
When I was little, being whimsical was my greatest joy, and I have made so many sweet and pretty memories because of that. And just through drawing, I feel like I'm able to recall and capture all those memories at once. So that is why I started creating art, to preserve my childhood memories. About my work, they are mainly characterized by quirky and unexpected traits, reflecting the whimsical perception of my younger self. And with all the oddness that happens in my work, I hope to bring back my childhood memory and at the same time arouse others. So here's my favorite piece. It's called Traffic Light. So the reason of creating this piece was actually due to one of my childhood fantasies. When I was little, whenever I stopped in front of the traffic light, I just wondered what would happen if we could actually interact with them. This personified drawing conveys 3 distinct faces. So red light as the angry face, yellow light as the peaceful face, and green light as the smiling face. Since we could actually interact with them, I wonder what would happen if people do or do not comply with the traffic rules.
The reason why I decided to take art to my career track is because of 3 years ago I saw a Taiwanese interior designer's report in a magazine, and his name is Zheng Ziwei. And he's a designer who involves many natural elements into interior spaces. His work pursues the peacefulness and the relaxed feelings through natural elements. During my school years, I found out that I'm interested in kind of playing with many different materials and mixed media. Here's my favorite artwork. Its name is called The White World, and it is inspired by coral bleaching in recent years. So we all know marine system can lose its balance without coral reefs. But recent years, humans destroyed it. So I created this white city model with empty spaces that creates the irony about what did humans do to nature.
I choose fashion business because my parents, they are both hair designers. I have always been serious about their job, so after school I will go to their shop to learn how to make the hairstyle. So this is the long dress for my first book. I used the newspaper to make it because I think a few people cannot make the recycled thing to make the dress. Although this cannot wear on my body, but it can be an installation artwork.
Like many artists, most of my ideas come from observing many different things from my daily life. However, I tend to find things that are very subtle or humorous that also speaks about some kind of big idea in life. I think it reflects my lighthearted but also serious and thoughtful personality by being able to point out small things and think about how they can be amusing, and show these things in a way that may make the audience react like, huh, I've never thought of it that way. As of now, I do graphic design for the most part, but I make different things with different methods, depending on what fits and represents my idea the best. What I do is also not limited to art because I'm interested in other subjects as well, like science, literature, and especially music. Not only do I listen to and play music, I also associate some of my art style with it. I like simple things and organizing things to make them simple. So many of my current works are probably in the realm of minimalism. When I design my pieces, I try to make every detail necessary for the work at hand, so I can communicate my ideas in the most optimized way possible. Making minimalistic artworks may not be what I prefer anymore in half a year, but I'll always be saying what I'm thinking and seeing through my art making. I think the piece that represents me the best is this one next to my artist file, named Winter Is That You? This idea came up last year when I realized the sun had started to set at an earlier time than usual, which indicates the arrival of winter. The situation also brought out the feeling of contemplation and self-reflection, because I noticed that time has passed again. This piece can even be seen as the closest I've gotten to a self-portrait.
So I think that at my time at PAS here, one of the biggest lessons I've learned is sort of about finding a balance between art and design. I think that fine art in some of my pieces is more about conveying a concept or a message that I want to voice, and there's also design, which is more about functionality and design thinking as part of our school's curriculum. And I think that upon trying to find a balance in these two fields, that is sort of where I came across architecture as a kind of middle ground to sort of incorporate both arts and designs in my works. Unintentionally, almost all my works incorporate the color black in it, and I think that the reason why I chose to use that color is not because I am trying to be lazy, but it is more about trying to bring out the simplicity in all my pieces, and I think that it not only clearly distincts my personal style as an artist, but it also allows me to sort of play with the color black within all the different kinds of mediums I have engaged in. As an artist, I feel that I am influenced by almost everything that I engage in my everyday life. This can be from things as simple as some of the classes I have taken, such as courses offered here like 3D modeling, photography, and any other classes that may not seemingly be so directly related to art. But I feel that one of the biggest influences is not necessarily only from education. Some influences that have taken a hold of my art making may be my inability to speak Chinese fluently, where I've created pieces that reflect the Chinese language using the characters because I am so fascinated by their composition and overall form. But also other pieces from even political commentaries from my engagement in MUN and debate. So of all the pieces I have made, I think that this bathtub installation here is most representative of my art making. This piece includes a lot of Lego pieces that I've collected. Some of them are real, some of them are not, and some blue plastic balls being washed away by metal parts coming out of the tap, as you can see. I think this piece is more representative of the fine arts portion because it is trying to convey a commentary on contemporary architecture with these metal parts coming out of the tap and washing away the blue toys that I cherish as a child. It sort of represents how we are taking our vision of what we want architecture and our dream homes to be like today. And so I think that this installation sort of embodies my vision of where I want to go with not only art making but also architecture in the future.
Touch other adolescents' hearts or
I am Dorian Chen and start my architectural career.
Go.
Hi, my name is Louisa and daily life.
I think the piece that represents me well here is the one. Wait.
like the lady.
Being whimsical was my 等一下，我讲错了。
可以。
I'm Yo-Yo Wu and I'm not used to honestly.
开始了。所以我要是讲 Hey guys，
不用 Hey guys， 是 Hi。
Hi。